welcome back to our channel. We are the Legacy Ladies, and my name is John Treese Wells.
And I am Erica Fernandez.
And we are excited about the conversation today.
We are.
We have been waiting for this guest to be a part of our podcast because he is doing phenomenal things within our community, within our church, within every aspect of mentorship and just all the things. And so when we talk about legacy, when we talk about being an impact, Eric Faulkner is one that embodies all of that. So let me introduce to you Mr. President Eric Faulkner.
Yes. Come with it.
Yes. Looking dapper as always.
Yes.
Hello, ladies. How you doing? Thanks for having me on as well.
Yeah, thank you. So introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself, what you got going on, and then we'll jump into a conversation.
Okay, great. So to everyone, Eric Faulkner, they said my name a couple times, so now I want to make sure you remember it, Eric Faulkner. Again, I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, to the illustrious and amazing Mary Lucille Finney. My mom I have three siblings, two sisters and one brother. Graduated high school there, and I was off. I said I couldn't see anything there for me, and decided to leave Memphis and go into the United States Navy. I graduated in June, and in July I was out of there. So went in the Navy. While I was in the Navy, I met my beautiful and amazing wife, Cassandra Faulkner. We have two kids, well, adults. Kids mean I still got to pay for them. Adults mean they got to pay for themselves. So I got two adults. I got two adults. My son, Stephen May, he's in Las Vegas. He did 7 years in the Navy, and then he moved up there and is planning on going back to school and getting his degree in intelligence. And my daughter went to Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia. And we bought a house back there because we want her in a safe space. Now, her and her new husband, they'll be a year in September. They already have our grandbaby, who's QJ, who's 6 months now, already got teeth in his mouth. And they live back there. So he's a graduate of Clark Atlanta University with marketing business. And so they're back there as well. So I served in the Navy 27 years. So I did a couple positions there. I was initially a hospital corpsman, which is a medic, and I was trained to be a physical therapy technician and independent duty corpsman. An independent duty corpsman is a medical personnel that's trained to do minor surgical procedures, prescribe medication, and actually diagnose enlisted personnel and those who go to combat, right? So it's really expensive to put a doctor boots on ground at the front line. So what they do is train us as independent duty corpsmen. We go forward, we do the care, we do the diagnosis and treatment, and then we move them back to a second echelon where you have physicians, surgeons, and things like that to take care of them. And then I became senior enlisted, which means that for you, not military, I was in the Navy. Once you become, when you're always being prepared for leadership. But when I became an E9 in 18 and a half, 19 years in, I ended up going into executive leadership, which means I led multiple organizations, 5 commands underneath my belt. And that equates to running an organization out here as a civilian, being a member of the board of directors or a member of the executive team. So you have your commanding officer, executive officer, and the command master chief. And those are the 3 that are responsible for these commands that, have a budget of millions of dollars because you're managing and leading people taking care of airplanes, ships, and actually large organizations. So I did that for a couple of years. I have my master's in health sciences. I'm a master's in health administration, my bachelor's in health sciences. Once I retired out of the military in 2014, I went into working for Kaplan University as a relationship manager, actually helping build degree programs for military, taking their military service and training and converting it to actually credible hours. And trying to get them to their degree early because of wanting to make sure we take care of our military personnel based on the service to the country. Worked with Kaplan University. After that, I was recruited to come and run a community-based outpatient clinic, which is a primary care clinic for the VA, the San Diego healthcare system, where I was impaneled to 5,000 veterans impaneled to that clinic. I was responsible for about 30 people running primary care, and also mental health was in the same building. And I was responsible for the building and overseeing that and making sure veterans were connected to their healthcare benefits. After that, I was recruited again to come on to the VA's special program office called Veterans Experience Office. And the Veterans Experience Office is really working behind the scenes to help the administration to connect veterans and their families to their benefits, helping healthcare, helping the benefits, make sure veterans get their disability ratings, helping the National Cemetery, making sure they get prepared for life, as they get older, and make sure their families understand how to navigate that. So connecting to them three, and then also community organizations to support our veterans when the VA can't. It's a partnership. It takes a village to take care of our veterans and their families. We work in that space to make sure there's an opportunity to build another program to make sure veterans can connect as well. So when I retired, I found a gap. I was responsible for taking care of thousands of sailors and their families. And it wasn't about, when you're in the military, it's not just about taking care of the person, but you have to take care of the things that are connected to the person. Because we know if they're focused on a bad experience at home and challenging things at home, they're not going to be really effective when they come to work. So our responsibility, like a lot of organizations out here don't do, when you're in the military, our responsibility is not only to take care of the person in front of us, but the what comes with the person, the marriage, kids, and giving them opportunities and places and resources to manage that, as well as being able to do the job in the military. When you get out, most organizations want you to clock in and clock out. That's why we have a lot of people like yourselves going into their own businesses, creating LLCs, because they just don't want to work for anybody anymore. They know they can do better than what the situation they're in. Just navigating that space and understanding I have a lot more to give. I have a lot of time. My kids are gone. It's me and my wife, but I still have the passion to give back, and I wanted to fill the space. Most military personnel, when they retire after doing something 27, 30 years, they don't feel like they don't want to start over, or it's hard to start. When you've been leading all these young people, now you have got to be the one at your age, 40-some, 50, to go sit in front of these people to ask for the job and actually write the resume, get in front of them. I was blessed because every job I've had since I got the military, people came looking for me. Why'd they come looking for me? Because I always had the inclination and understanding, always leave your last position better than you had it. Always leave with those connections and networks, because you never know when you're going to have to use them again. And that has paid off for me after getting out, because everybody's like, Eric, what do you do with the resume? And how do you do with interviews? I'm like, brother, sister, I don't know how to navigate that, because I've got the job first, and then I submitted my resume second. So it worked a little bit. God just opened doors like he did, where I didn't have to fight for jobs, and people know me and know my reputation came looking for me. But one of the things, my passion was young men. I just keep seeing these young men. I still see them today. When you're talking to them, their heads down, they don't talk with confidence. When I talk to our young girls, they got confidence, they know what they're going to do. And I knew it then that my focus needs to, if I have the passion and I have the time, to give back and start engaging with young men of single moms who don't have a role model in front of them that's talking to them, that's showing them, that's walking that walk and actually talking the talk, and someone that looks like them. Moms do a great job. I'm a product of a mother who didn't give up, had a tough life, but stuck it out for her 4 kids, dealt with all kinds of things. We'll get into discussion with abuse and all that thing, but just made sure she stayed, because she had an understanding that her thing deep south was, I got it. This is better than being on the street. So let me deal with this with my kids and get where they need to go. So she stuck it out. And that's why, my mentors in my life have been, I look at my life, me and my mom growing up, and then my life afterwards has been women that have been born into me, and making sure that, hey, I see something. They always come to you, I see something in you that you don't see in yourself. I heard that over and over again. And that definitely has empowered me to give back. So, it started with the church with a couple of young men and just young people overall. I'm always engaging when I see them. Let them know, hey, how are you doing? Get your head up. I have a command presence about me because of military service. So when I'm going to them, I'm like I say, look me in the eye, shake my hand, talk to me, communicate effectively. And I do that back to them to know that, hey, it's okay. It's cool to be articulate, brother. And it's cool to talk and engage and all those things and address right. So them all those things. So I had several young men from the church that I mentor. I ended up, okay, I need to do more. Big Brothers Big Sisters was hurting at the time. They can't get men to sign up. Women sign up at an alarming rate to mentor, to the point where they think about putting some of these young men with women, and they do, because men are not signing up for it and they have the time. So it doesn't take a lot of time, guys. It's just a call. It's a text. It's going and picking up for lunch for an hour. And that doesn't mean you're doing it 30 days a week, but make it meaningful. Use your time wisely to connect with where they are, and show them you're just like them, and be transparent where you came from. I'm always transparent with my life because I understand it'll impact somebody. So I don't hold anything back. If you ask me where I come from, I tell about my life growing up and the tough times, and the tough times for me when I was growing up outweighed the good times. All right. So, and navigating that. So I've been doing that, then Dr. Alicia Wilson, who's go to the church as well. I was helping her with her campaign in 2020. And I saw the attacks come out to her, trying to diminish her because she's a Black and she's a female. But when I looked at her resume and I looked at the person she was running against, I'm like, this is obvious. The people are going to vote the right way. Her body of work, I mean, she has a CV resume that will run circles around people, not only doing things in the community with the Deltas and things she does here with her business, but also working at the higher level, doing things for women up in Sacramento. And then someone who just moved in the community for a short period of time came in and beat her because without politics, because we're in a red community versus a blue or anything in the middle. That's what they voted on. They didn't vote on it was the best candidate to be able to sit in the city council. They voted because she was a white lady, she was Republican, and and it didn't matter. They wasn't going to jump over and do anything. And then there were three people that ran. I mean, you never want to run with three people running because you don't know what the third person is going to take votes from. And I looked at it, had his votes, the third person and her votes been together, she would be in the seat right now. If they would have got the person to not run. So that drove me into running for politics, getting involved with local government. I ended up, out of that, they created a Race, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Commission after everything that was going on, George Floyd and, the Black Lives Matter and all those going on, and Black people were being, killed, and the discourse of policing with the communities. So they created a READY Commission, Race, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Commission. And I put in, there were 80 applicants for this commission, over 80. It was the highest number of applicants for any commission in the city. And I got elected out of 7 people, and I'm still doing that right now. Right now, I'm the chair of that commission. I'm the lead for that over this year, walking them through that space. And what we do is go out and really listen to the voices of the community and bring those voices back to the city council so they can make decisions, write policy, and things like that. So to create a space that's inclusive for all residents, right? So they were one of the only cities that did that. Most cities ran away from this because they were connected. Well, it's just DEI, and we know what DEI means. It means give the people of color and take away from everybody else. That's the way they are playing it. The fear they're stoking across the country, and it's nothing to that point. All right, they end up wrapping that CRT thing with the school system here in Temecula with that as well. So that's why you see a lot of people dismantling their DEI stuff right now based on the pressure that's being put on them as well. And one thing I would applaud the leadership of Temecula, they've never tried to take away this READY Commission. There's been one person, and that's the person I'm running against, who's tried to come in and take it away, and using her people to come in and fear and put fear in people to try to get rid of it. But still, we stand right now because we have great people that are fighting for it, and we have us fighting for this to make sure it stays in place because it has impacted the way residents look at the city. There's only been one person that's been negative on the seat in regards to things and supporting our community, and that's been the person I'm running against. So with that being said, engaged in that aspect, I've been very highly engaged in the community with this position. I have to be at a lot of places, talking to a lot of people, just getting their insights on how things are going and how we can bring that back to city council. And doing this, I've been sitting back learning city leadership, learning the city staff and what they do to run the city. And, and then I kept looking in the mirror because I was trying to push it off because it kept hitting me. Hey, don't run for city council. I had thousands of people saying, Eric, you need to run for city council. You need to run for city council. People like, hey, Mr. President, hey, Mr. Governor. I'm like, man, the same thing you did to me, John Trey. I'm like, I said, I'm Eric Faulkner, brother. I'm like, that's just not going to happen. But I kept looking in the mirror, and it kept coming back. Eric, you've been out here doing this work. You've been putting a lot into it. You've been engaging at a higher level than most people that in that building. Why shouldn't you be in the building? Mm-hmm. The mirror kept coming back. If not you, then who? Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't want to do this. This is not my thing. I don't want to bring no attacks on my family. I could take the attacks or somebody getting personal with this stuff. So I think it's time for me to pull out of this. Kept coming back. If not you, then who? Mm. And so, and I like, geez, I'm not going back to the mirror no more. So I think it's time to make a decision. So in January, I pulled my paperwork to start my bank account. I think I start raising money for this and to really start learning and researching and educating myself on what this is going to cost me, emotionally and physically, mentally, and spiritually, because all three are going to be attacked. So I just sat down and prayed about it and said, and I'm a military guy, so I've seen the worst of people and the worst of things in combat. So I mean, what is words going to do to me? Absolutely nothing. So let's put this thing in and go for it. I think I can. I mean, my body of work as far as leadership, what I've done across the city in my life, and everything. And my resume again, like I said, Dr. Lisa Wilkins' resume. Wrap circles around this person. When I looked at my resume in regards to what I've done, I'm like, I'm in the right space to be able to be the right person to move our city forward and be a city council member for all residents, not those who vote a certain way, but for everybody, being a voice, being in the community, listening to what their needs are, and then bringing that back to the city to say, I think we can do better in this space. How do we work together to do better in this space to make sure all our residents feel like they're like this is a space for them and this is a city for them as well. So I would talk to my wife, got her support, because if I don't get her support, if she said no, I wouldn't do it. I mean, if she said it's too impactful on our relationship, on her, then when I got the blessings, when I first prayed about it, got that blessing, and then talked to my wife and got her blessing, then that's all I need. I'm like, don't need anything, any word from anybody else. That was all I needed. And okay, it's on. Let's go get this. And that's what I've been doing from this point forward, just putting the work in to earn the vote and not buy the vote, not raise all this money, really just connecting with people, let them hear my message, and then send them to my site or give them my number or give them my email. You want to know who I am, just call me. I'll pick up the phone, text me, I'll answer back. You want to meet and greet? I don't care if you're red, blue, green, yellow, whatever. I'm coming to the space because I have no fear in that space, man. When I come to the space, I'm not going there to put my head down or whatever. I'm going there to own the space. I'm going to let them know I'm there. I mean, and to treat people like human beings, right? We're all that first. And then you can branch off in these different ethnicity groups and diverse backgrounds we have. But it's first that. So Eric's there to win it, to let you know who I am, and to really engage in a way that's respectful and honorable to everyone, and to understand you can connect with me, and I'm gonna say space, for you to talk to, and so we can move things forward. So that's a little bit about me. I know it was a lot, but I just want to make sure there's a lot more, but I want to make sure we save something for the question later, right?
I mean, I just learned so much just in you sharing your story and just your path in getting to where, because that was kind of one of my questions, or one of the things I want to know, like, what was your path in getting to where you are? And one of the biggest things that I would just say is that the representation of seeing you, amongst in our community, like we've known each other, through church. And so we've seen each other.
You grew up from a little one. Stop playing. I think you grew up from little to now. What are you talking about?
But now seeing you in this space and in this world, and in, you doing what you do, I'm just excited and proud just because of the representation, right? Just because I get to see a Black man taking on a not easy task. You know what I mean? Your family taking on a not easy task, but seeing you doing it with such grace and such decor and elegance and all of those things that is like, this is what we need in our communities, is the representation. I don't care in whatever you decide to do, in whatever industry you decide to get in, but then know that, hey, you can get into that industry too. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be over here on the line. You can go and be whatever it is your heart's desire and fill the space that is vacant. You saw a need. You saw a need with veterans. You saw a need within our community. And you said, you know what? If not me, then who? Who's going to fill this space? Who's going to be the advocate for these people? And so it drives me within our own business, because if not us, then who? Who's coming to our communities talking about legacy, talking about the things that our hearts desire, and giving you solutions on how to accomplish those things. This is what it's all about with Beyond Legacy. We want to be a resource to our community, to our audience, to our patrons that say, hey, you can do it too, and let us help you.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think in piggyback on that infrastructure, which is what you are actually working within the infrastructure of the city, trying to make sure the foundations and those things are in place. That's what we want and do, right? What is the foundation for the family? What are you guys standing on? What solid ground are you standing on politically for your community, for your young men, for your young ladies? What's happening in our city? Like John Trees, I've learned a lot about the political arena. I don't play in that space. My mom is she's just a lot in that space, and my brother, so they really do talk in that space. But I even learned that even running for your office, that it has nothing to do with red or blue, right? And it's just local. And I keep saying to people, you got to fix things at the local level. It pushes things up. And if you're not fixing it here, don't talk to me, because that's where you're going to make the biggest effect. Because when you change the lives of people for the better, it changes the community, which changes the city, which changes the state, which goes up. And so it starts in the grassroots and the foundation of what you're actually dealing with, and having that representation that understands that foundation is important is huge, and we need it in this area. And since it is a bedroom town, meaning like me, we commute out for work and we come in here in the evening. So therefore, we're only seeing things happening at night, and the weekends are filled. So it's good to see that representation and seeing that the infrastructure is important.
So let me ask this question to you, Eric. When we talk about legacy, you've been in this community for, over 20 plus years. Where do you see the legacy of this community going? And I feel like it has shifted over the years, just with all of the things that's going on within our world. And, we can talk about, just the different type of people that move into this area, the people in leadership, the type of people in our school systems, we can talk about. But where do you see the legacy going within this community that creates the safe space for everyone? Because I'm going to just kind of say it. I don't think it's a safe space for everyone at this moment, right? I don't think that everyone feels welcome to just be in this space. So how is the legacy being left, or where are we headed? Is it going to be a safe space for everyone? I know that's the goal, but you're in the trenches of it. So what's the conversation like?
Well, I think you're right. A safe space for everyone means that everyone feels like they have a seat at the table. Their voice is being heard in regards to the things they would like to see in cities, and how they would like to link to resources as well. I see the demographics shifting as I'm walking around and doing my political thing with my campaign. Demographically, our city, Temecula, is shifting, and it's shifting to a city of more color, because there are more Hispanics are moving in, and there are more Black people that are moving in as well. So it used to be we were like 1 to 2%. I remember when we moved up here. Now we're like 3 to 4% African American, but the Hispanic population is rising, and it's rising to a level where it's going to be majority in the city. And when cities look demographically at information and data and insights, they should understand that they have to change. Based on just the demographics alone, you have to look at opportunities. When it starts to shift, you got to look how to connect with the people that are there, not the people that used to be here, but people that are here right now. Cities die. Cities die because of this stuff, right? So they don't evaluate their climate, their environment on a regular basis. They try to stay old, right? They try to stay those. Temecula has a thing: old tradition and new opportunities. So when you're looking at, when you talk to residents, when you're senior, you've been here for a while, they don't like the traffic. They don't like all the housing. They want to keep it. They want to take it back where it used to be. So they like the old traditions of Temecula, the horses, the ranches, less traffic, less housing. And then you get the new opportunity piece where you have new people coming in. The other piece of their model, new opportunities. So you have these new people coming in that can afford. This is still an area that's more affordable in San Diego, right? So people have to become Temecula, Murrieta, Menifee, which are growing. Menifee's growing at a high rate. But they're coming up here because they want to get away from the hustle and bustle and get up here. So they bring the new opportunities, new ways to connect. And we have to, as far as legacy and how this city rides this out and how it looks in the future, you've got to start moving towards the new opportunities. Old tradition, horse ranches are not coming back. All right. So I love that we still have equestrian horse trails and things like that. It's beautiful. I love seeing it. I think it's a great part of our community. But the fact of the matter is that's the outgoing and you have the incoming. So there has to be a balance here. But to continue to keep it in old traditions, you end up impacting your city negatively. You have to look at those new people coming in to create that space for them. Who's in our space right now? What do they look like? How they like connecting? How they like reaching out? Do we allow them to be themselves when they're in a certain space, or do they feel unsafe and not willing to say anything? I like engaging people. With the Ready Commission, we do proclamations where we recognize every month, everybody's month, whether it's Black history, Hispanic history, Native American, Asian, Pacific Islander, LGBTQ, because first of all, they are human. We're recognizing them because of who they are, and they're human beings, to recognize and say, when we look back on your history, you've had an impact in this country as well. All right. It'll be great to not have proclamations to recognize month if we were recognizing the history of everyone who has an impact on this country and this city. So until we get there, we need to continue to work on making a space that people feel safe. Again, we got to understand politics and media play into this. All right. Politics and media have us fighting against each other, have us looking at each other sideways because of stereotypes and things that are in that space that make people look at you in a different light. So when you talk about Republican, Democrat, everything in between, there's this conservative approach and that's this liberal, progressive approach as well. And they clash with one another. And they're clashing around the very things that we're talking about, these safe spaces and making sure people included in our society. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. The fact of the matter is, when I'm elected as city council, if we're changing that thumb, go up real quick. I like that. But look at it. Our responsibility is quality of life issues that impact our residents. That's not a political issue. That crosses both spectrums. Do you want housing? Do you want infrastructure that meets your needs in this space? Do you want your trash empty? Do you want water? Do you want sewage? Do you want great parks? Do you want healthcare? Do you want a four-year university and a college in your space where kids that are not ready to leave home and want to stay at the college? How do we get those things here? Because we want to keep here. We get a four-year university here. They're more likely to probably stay if we bring the jobs that they can that help them become homeowners. But you got to bring them. You can have the college, you can have all that, but if you don't bring the jobs, the kids are going to go away to spaces where they can make the money based on all that college and all the money they had to pay out for that. So we're in a space where we have to look at all those things and look at all the shifting demographics to make sure that we continue to grow. I even equip it to when churches, I've been in churches when the old leadership does not want to change. They have to change to new people. We always talk about, if we don't hear, Pastor always talk about, if we don't hear children crying and misbehaving in the congregation, then you're a dying church. And I solely believe that's the same thing with communities. When you go outside, you don't see children out playing, and you don't see schools being filled, and you're probably more than likely a dying city as well. So you got to make sure you can create space for people for new opportunities, for people to come into our city, engage at the rate they want to engage, create safe space, and don't minimize what they say to you. Someone comes to me and says, Eric, I was treated this way, but I talked to such and such, and they really blew me off. I've always put myself and other people before I respond to people. Don't ask my wife this. She ain't gonna tell you the same thing. But everybody we get on each other. So that's a relationship. That's all part of growing. You answer that question. So, when I'm out talking to people, before I answer, John Tree comes to me and says, Eric, I was in a space, these people treated me horribly, racist remarks or whatever. I put myself in your shoes, in your lens, looking at it from your perspective first before I reach out and say, it can't happen. That couldn't have happened. It didn't happen to me. I've never seen that. The reason you've never seen it because you're not in my skin. You're not walking through life like me. So don't discredit what I just experienced. And we do it a lot. We do it a lot with our young folks. We try to treat them as if they don't have a voice until they become adults. They're telling you, they're signaling to you that things are going on, that you need to get engaged. Listen to them. Their voice is powerful. We have to listen to them and don't discredit people. So I work in this space when I talk to people is, let me listen first. First seek to understand, right? And then work to be understood. So a part of that is shutting your mouth, opening your ears, letting them have the conversation, talk to you. And then, okay, I see it from your perspective. I'm sorry that happened to you. We're going to work and see how we can fix it and to prevent this from happening again. And then not only saying it, but doing the work and falling back up. Hey, this is what we've done. These conversations we've had. I'm sorry this happened to you, but we're going to work to make sure we hold people accountable. So I think those are the things that we continue to focus on, this legacy within our city. How do we keep that going? And how do we keep that focus going? And that's what this is all about. I'm about always challenging myself. I got comfortable with the community service, got comfortable with running being a commissioner. And then I'm like, well, I need to challenge myself again. In the military, you always do that, right? Because you always have to go to the next rank, which means that you have to get there. So you have to keep challenging yourself, reinventing yourself. So I'm always in that space looking at, okay, I have a lot more time. I can give back in this space, so how do I get involved to make it an impact? And that all rolls back into leaving the legacy, leaving your stamp to always make it better and leave it better when you have it and then after you leave as well. So, yeah.
That's
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's really good. And I like how you ended that a legacy is you always attempting to get better, to leaving an impact within your communities and in your realms, right? That if you're constantly trying to get better, and I guess the military does that, where because you're trying to make rank, you can't get comfortable. Whereas civilian world, it's easy to get comfortable because we don't have to make rank anywhere. We don't have to continue to evolve, and we don't have to continue to get better. But it has to be a strong desire within ourselves to say, no, we're not going to stay here. We're not going to stay the same. We're not going to do the same things. We're going to constantly be growing and developing so that the impact that we leave is greater once we're no longer here, and then our legacy lasts.
Yes.
I think the word that comes to mind for me is, as we talk about this, is involvement. One of the things that causes things to go stagnant is to sit back
and watch. Yeah.
The same thing that happens right in the church when you can sit back and talk about it, but you're not involved in it. Once you get involved in it, then you can actually have value in what you say.
That's good.
Because you can say, oh yeah, no, I'm involved in this. That's not how it works. Just like they try to come for the ready committee. No, I'm involved in this. Here's what we do. And when you know that, That is what changes the perspective, because people live a lot off of hearsay. They don't. When I've heard it said before, you say, "Oh yeah, the people from New Orleans, they're this," but you only been in one little town of New Orleans. You can't put them all in the same category. Same for Mississippi, right? You can't say that about Mississippi. You can't say that about Temecula, right?
Yeah.
You can't say that, oh yeah, those people that live in Temecula, they're this way, they're that way. When first it's a bedroom town, second, once you get involved in it, you'll be like, oh, that is not how we act or live or behave out here. And when you see something that doesn't meet the status quo, you'd be like, where that come from? I know I ain't involved, but that don't look right coming in here. And so I think involvement is what is a huge part of what's happening here. And I think when you being that representation, and when you win an office, that is what we'll begin to see change, right? Which, so because of, when we think about the Obama era and how much people really got involved in living life and things, right? And now, because they saw themselves, like you see yourselves in people's situation, they saw themselves in that family. And so therefore they were like, they achieve for hire. And guess what we come out of? Lots more entrepreneurs, lots more people saying, I think I can, and I think I want to do better. And so involvement is what I see happening with your representation in this town. And that legacy of involvement is what we've missed, because when Martin Luther King and those guys back then, they came together, they got involved, and they made change because they got involved. And that's what I think the legacy of this, of what you're doing and moving forward with this town, is what will happen, is get a lot more people involved in what's happening in their city.
I think we're going to need a part 2. Oh, go ahead, Eric.
No, I just want to just hop in on something Erica brought in regards to seeing someone that looks like you and the impact that has. It's just like you talked about, MLK, you talk about Barack, nobody really wants to show or really engage in showing everyone the statistics of the impact that he truly had. When you look at the Black community before Barack Obama and then after, all right, I want to, like you talked about, businesses, entrepreneurs, people going into government. If you really look at the data and statistics, you'll see a huge rise in that. If people were really dig into the data and show it, because people saw someone that looked like them, that they said, okay, I can aspire to that. It's the same thing with artists, basketball players, and the kids, when they see that and they see, I could do that. I can go that way. Or scientists or gymnasts. You see in the Olympics, right?
Yes.
Right. So people are like, well, why do I have this fear of water? I can do it just as best as anybody else. I just need to get over it and start swimming or golfing with Tiger Woods. Once people saw him, and now you got kids picking up golf clubs they never picked up before, and if they continue at that rate, they'll master it, and they'll be the next Tiger Woods. So it is impactful when you see someone that looks like you. And, when you go back in the 60s and before, that was a problem. The people, my family, my mother and her grandmother, when they looked on TV, shows, there were great shows, and they're like Good Times, but it was showing people trying to move out, the Jeffersons. But really, there were scientists, there were people back at that time that were doing great things, but never got the press, never got shown. We're hearing about them now. I mean, but they needed to hear about it, see that back then as well. We had politicians, we had all those things, but they didn't have the ability to get on social media and media to really show and get that information out there. So it's making, as kids learn about it. That's why history is so important, because they learn about it. Okay, I can be cool and be in the STEM program, which a lot of our women are going into, and they're succeeding very well at a high rate. But just getting our young men to just catch up. I just want to lay into that impact thing and being able to understand the impact of how seeing someone that looks like you really drives you to really push to get there as well.
Yeah, our one of our quotes from when we do our vision board experience is, "Leave a mark that no one can erase." That's Maya Angelou, and that is the thing to everyone, and everyone, legacy, kids, whatever. what are you going to do to leave a mark that no one can erase? And no one can erase. They may not like it, but they can't erase it.
Right.
And so those are the visions, those are the goals in which we are setting forth. All of the minorities in every aspect of minority are doing those things. Nobody can erase it. They can try to silence it, but they can't erase it, because at some point it will come forward. And so that is the mark you're getting ready to make on Temecula that no one can erase.
I mean, this has to be a part 2 conversation, because I'm not done asking questions, but we're going to pause right here, Eric. I'm so proud of you and so thankful that you were able to come onto our channel and just share your heart. Share your heart for our community, share your heart for our people, share your heart for our young people. There is so much more that we need to do as a community. Like you said, we need to build up these young men. They are lost, and we need to get people involved, not just women, but men. Men need to come in, step in, and be the figure, the men figure in some of these spaces and organizations, and whatever that looks like. And so maybe we can think about, as you're running and campaigning and getting into office, but thinking about an initiative that really helps, not just big brother, big sister type of thing, but really creating an initiative that really kind of puts these men in front of these boys and figuring out what that looks like. But I thank you. I appreciate you for being on. And as always, we're going to have this conversation again. We're going to do a part 2, maybe in the next season, or maybe we'll just hop on a live. Maybe we'll just hop on a live.
Let me know. I would love to continue the conversation, because I know you had a lot more questions. I want to get to that as well. But before we turn this off, I need to get a shout out. I need to give a plug in.
Let's do that. Yes, do that. Right.
All right. So thanks a lot for you guys having me on board. I appreciate you so much and what you're doing and how you're trying to make an impact in our communities, particularly, and trying to make a real loud noise in the Inland Empire. So keep up that passion, keep focused. Don't let any stone or anyone get in your way. You're the right for the right time, such as this, to continue this going. Everyone else, I'm Eric Faulkner. I'm a 27-year Navy veteran. I've lived in the city of Temecula for 27 years, and I want to be your next city councilman for District 2 in Temecula. So I look forward to meeting you. I look forward to talking to you and letting you know who I am and my priorities for the city. Again, connect with me on my website, faulknerforcitycouncil2024.com. I need donations if you can donate. I'm not trying to tell anybody to break the bank, whatever you can give. So I need volunteers if you'd like to volunteer, or, just insights and feedback. Just give me a call, send me an email. I will respond, because I don't want to buy the vote. I want to earn your vote. So I'll turn it back over to you guys.
That is awesome. And in that, we appreciate you and thank you for joining us. Until next time, we are Beyond Legacy. Take care.